Quick shout out to the two Uber comrades supporting this channel, my content on Patreon, my partner, Thank You Rosa, and Independent Left News, which is a great resource and where I came across this story actually. So it was a story that's on Independent Left News, and it linked to this National Review article, which I believe got it from the Rand Corporation, which was talking about how in Los Angeles, I believe particularly the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, a shocking report suggests in Los Angeles County, sheriff's deputies make some of the most dangerous crime syndicates of all. I don't think that is that shocking if you actually pay attention to the role and what the police do in the United States. I mean, they uphold the status quo, they uphold capitalism and white supremacy. They act as tools of social control to suppress any type of social justice movement, whether it's, different labor movements throughout history. They're always going to side with the capitalist class. Or you look at the civil rights movement, they're on the wrong side of history on that issue. They're on the wrong side of the Black Lives Matter movement. Again, the Black Lives Matter movement started because the police indiscriminately murdering, oppressing, surveilling, etc. people, particularly communities of color in particular. So let's take a listen, and it's going to have to be a listen because I didn't want to sign up for the National Review to get access to the full article, because this is actually a kind of a right-wing conservative website. I mean, they're talking about fucking William F. Buckley Prize for Christ's sake. But kudos to them for publishing this, frankly. So here we go.
The Gangs of LA, National Review. A shocking new report suggests that in Los Angeles County, sheriff's deputies make up some of...
Again, I don't find it that shocking if you actually pay attention to the role and what function the police serve in the United States.
The most dangerous crime syndicates of all. Plus member article Los Angeles's most dangerous criminal gangs have different names. The Banditos, the Executioners, the Wayside Witties. They occupy different turfs.
Witties.
They sport distinctive
identifying... They're fat with Witties or Whiteys, one of the two, right?
Tattoos, and they carry on intense rivalries with one another. But their members all have one thing in common.
They're all Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies.
They are all Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies.
I also find it very interesting, too, that all these police departments across the U.S. are basically saying they're not going to be able to make the police, they're not enforcing the vaccine mandates on their police departments because the cops are just saying they're not going to do that. Like, Jesus Christ. Not surprising, frankly, but yeah.
A new report on deputy gangs from the Rand Corporation is, in spite of its antiseptic language, one of those rare things that simply must be read to be believed. It is a document that should be studied and preserved. Like the mafias of old and the folk nation/people nation mobs that evolved during Chicago's golden age of street gangs, the gangs of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, LASD, serve a variety of social and criminal purposes. They have their roots in the bonding experience of men and women, but who are we trying to kid? Mostly men who have been through difficult and dangerous experiences together. They are partly social in character, providing a sense of belonging and status to their members. They act as mutual aid societies, exchanging favors and help ranging from the commonplace to the criminal.
Well, more of the criminal, obviously. They're talking about fucking gangs here. I don't necessarily agree with the framing that the author of the story, Kevin D. Williamson, is trying to paint, but anyways.
As with the old street gangs, there are two very good ways to get an invitation to join.
Probably gotta commit some type of crime or get initiated in, right?
Crime or shoot somebody.
Jesus.
These gangs, the Rand report, honoring the sociological pretense, calls them only subgroups, are involved in a variety of crimes, from covering up police misconduct to extortion, including.
Again, that's nothing new. Cops all across the U.S. do that, not just in Los Angeles, not just the LA County Sheriff's Department. It's all across the U.S. There's a long documented history of that, right?
Extortion targeting lower-ranking deputies who are forced into paying rent to work at a station in the pursuit of a desirable posting. LASD staff told researchers that violence against prisoners in custody is used as a test to get your ink, which is to say.
And again, the United States has the world's largest prison population, yet we're supposedly the land of the free. Give me a break.
As part of a gang initiation ritual, Los Angeles County has paid out tens of millions of dollars in settlements related to the misbehavior of members of these groups, which have long been a problem. In fact, there is not much new in the Rand report. A similar report was
right?
issued.
Again, this is nothing new. I completely agree with that point. The shit has been happening for time immemorial. Needs to be pointed out. Policing in the United States became a thing. They were created as slave patrols
by the Cults Commission all the way back in 1992. One way to think about these gangs is as the equivalent of mafia families within the context of a larger organized crime operation, which is what LASD is, at least to some extent.
At least to some extent? I think you're selling it a bit short there, but that's just my opinion. What do you think?
February 2020, former Los Angeles County Sheriff Lee Baca reported to prison for his role in a conspiracy to obstruct a federal investigation into abuse.
A former sheriff.
Abuse and misconduct in the jail system he managed. But he was involved in all kinds of other shenanigans, too, including a scheme to make reserve deputies out of political supporters and helpful celebrities, rewarding them with a badge and the ability to carry a gun legally, a right that is very difficult to acquire in Los Angeles County and most of the rest of California. People who gave the sheriff personal gifts or made donations to his campaign were rewarded with concealed carry permits.
Here's a gun for everybody who supports me.
The current sheriff of Los Angeles County, Alex Villanueva, appears to be from the same mold as Baca. He is currently under scrutiny.
Of course they are. Of course he is. That's how he's able to get into that position.
For forming an investigative unit whose main purpose is harassing and investigating his critics and political rivals, from LA County Inspector General Max Huntsman to a nonprofit associated with County Supervisor Sheila Kuehl. According to the Los Angeles Times, the union representing sheriff's deputies has warned about the unconventional tactics employed by members of this unit. The county's Civilian Oversight Board has subpoenaed Villanueva to answer questions about the prepare yourselves for some irony, civil rights and public integrity detail, but the sheriff has refused to appear before the commission, saying that he is too busy. This sort of thing appears
too busy making sure himself and all of the gang members within the LA County Sheriff's Department, stay out of prison.
To be endemic to law enforcement in Los Angeles. For years in the 1990s, the single most dangerous crime syndicate in Southern California was the LAPD, where members of the Rampart Division created a blue crime wave involving everything from falsifying evidence to bank robbery to selling huge quantities of cocaine stolen from evidence rooms to murder. On one end of California, you have politicos such as San Francisco Mayor London Breed and Governor Gavin Newsom blowing off COVID-19 rules as obligatory for the little people but optional.
Yeah, man, that's point taken. Look at the French Laundry, where that restaurant, I'm not sure if it's a high scale or fancy restaurant, but that's besides the point, where Newsom was meeting with lobbyists in the height of the pandemic while telling people to not go out, telling people to shelter in place. So point taken there.
For the high and mighty. On the other end of the state, you have a sheriff's department acting as the goon squad for the elected official at the head of the agency, while deputies mob up like Crips and Bloods. Political enlightenment comes when you begin to understand that, in spite of
the Crips and Bloods aren't carrying a badge. right? They don't have the power to shoot somebody, imprison somebody, extort them, and they don't have the, backing of the state. These gangs, these cop gangs, these sheriff gangs do.
Differences between Nancy Pelosi's beauty parlor antics and the deeds of the East Los Angeles banditos. They are two manifestations of the same phenomenon. To the extent that this sort of thing is tolerated, and it is a considerable extent, the people of California have ceased to be citizens and have become subjects. And California is a national bellwether. What happens in Los Angeles today will happen in Tulsa tomorrow.
Well, and I would say it's not going to happen tomorrow. This stuff is already happening all across the U.S. I mean, we see almost on a daily basis just deplorable behavior all across the U.S. by cops. Whether it's at protest movements, whether it's pulling over people, especially people of color, murdering them indiscriminately, brutalizing them, etc. So it's not a huge reach that this LA County Sheriff's Department has all these different gangs within it that are committing all types of crimes and atrocities. Defund the police, abolish the police. Again, they uphold capitalism and white supremacy in the United States. They're tools of social control. They're never on the right side of any type of social justice movement, and they don't prevent crime. They don't keep people safe. What keeps people safe is investing in the community, improving people's material conditions, things like housing, jobs, education, healthcare, mental health services, etc. Basically, any use of the massive amount of money that goes to agencies like the LA County Sheriff's Department would be better spent elsewhere, right? Like the video if you like the damn video, subscribe for more content. All proud of the people. Peace. Much love.